Good morning. This is Manjula, Assistant Professor in Commerce, Dr. BRR Government College, Jadcherla, Mahabubnagar. Now, today's topic is organization. What is actually an organization? Now, if we see different companies, Tata Company, Birla Company, or Ambani's companies, Reliance companies, all these are organizations. Now, how they plan their organization? Now, if we see the definition, organization is an entity such as a company. It may be a company. Organization may be a company or an institution. It may be an educational institution or other institutions, or it may be an association of persons like the cooperative societies or the companies, comprising one or more people and having a particular purpose. Now, definition has different aspects. Definition says that organization may be a company, or it may be an institution, or it may be an association of persons, and all these consists of group of people and who work for a particular purpose. All these people will be working for a particular purpose. Now, if it is a charitable institution, their main aim is service motive. If it is an educational institution, is to render education to the society. If it is a company, to provide quality goods and services and earn profits. So, depending upon the type of association, its purpose differs. The word organization is derived from the Greek word. Two words, that is organon. Organization is derived from the Greek word organon, which means tool or instrument. It is a tool or instrument, or a musical instrument, or an organ. So, Greek word organon defines organization as an instrument, or organon is a musical instrument or an organ. So, it is the instrument which is necessary for accomplishing the goals of the organization. Next, what are the characteristics of organization? Different organizations have different characteristics. If it is a charitable institution, its characteristics are different. If it is a company, its characteristics are different. If it is an association of people, that is cooperative societies or other institutions, their characteristics are different. Now, characteristics of organization are, first one is recognized association of group of people. Every organization is an association of group of people. So, without people, there is no organization. Single person cannot make an organization. In order to be an organization, there must be a group of people or association of people to form an organization. Next, shape of organization. The next important characteristics of organization is shape of the organization. What should be the shape of the organization? And in organization, how the authority is flowing, whether downwards or upwards, how the responsibility is flowing, what is actually the present organization position, are the second characteristics of organization. Next, third one is goal oriented. Every organization is established for a particular purpose, and the main objective of it is to achieve that purpose or goal. Unless that goal is achieved, it is very difficult for the organization to exist. So, all the people, that group of people in the organization, work for the purpose of achieving the goal. So, the third characteristic is organization is a goal oriented process. Next, fourth, division of work. In organization, since there are association of people or group of people are involved in the organization, every person should be assigned their task. Every person should know what is the work they actually have to do. So, work is divided among this group of people, and according to the division of work, they work and their talent is proved in the organization. Next, establishing power centers. Now, in the organization, different people will be having different powers. The powers of the people in the organization depends on the hierarchy. Top people have more powers, than the middle level managers. Middle level managers have certain powers than the lower level managers. So, certain power centers are established in the organization so that they control their subordinates. Because of these nature of power, managers can control the people in the organization. This is the distinct feature of organization. So, characteristics of organization are: it is a group of people, association of group of people. The shape of the organization is important, and the organization should have a particular goal. Division of work: since it involves a group of people, work is divided among the people in the organization. Different power centers are established so that the power is distributed among the levels of managers, and they control the people in the organization so that they work according to the standards set in the organization. So these are the important characteristics of organization. Next, purpose of organization. What is the main important purpose of organization? Helping management. Organization is basically the thing where it helps the management in accomplishing its tasks. Management functions are 5: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, and controlling. If the organization is properly framed, then it helps in achieving the functions of the management, or these functions of management can be performed properly only when the organization framework is good. Next, increasing production. Organization helps in the increase of production. Group of people work together and they are given their work, division of work is done. Everyone is responsible for their work, and this results in the increase of production. Since all of them has their own tasks, they know what they have to do, they work according to the standard set, and all this leads to the increase in production. Next, cooperating employees. Since it is a group of people working together, there must be cooperation between employees. Organization helps in cooperation between the employees. Unless there are no cooperation, then it is difficult for the people to work in the organization. So the main purpose of organization is to help the management, increase in the production, and cooperate the employees. Next, what are the principles of internal organization? Internal organization is internally the work management is done within the company's framework. The main principles of internal organization are: first one, unity of objective. Objective is the goal of the organization. Every person in the organization should have a common goal. Unity is common goal. However, different people are working in different departments. All these people are working together to achieve the objectives of the organization. Individual goals are different, organizational goals are different. But when coming to the organization concept, organization goal is the individual goal. They have to work for accomplishing the objectives of the organization. So that is the reason there is no difference between an individual goal and organizational goal in internal organization. All of them work for the achieving the objectives of the organization. Next, flexibility. The main principle of organization is it should be flexible according to the changing situations in the market and according to the changing conditions in the company. If it is rigid, employees will get frustrated to work in the organization. They feel it as monotony and they lose interest in the job, which again acts as a hindrance for the development of the company. So people in the organization prefer flexibility, and the organization should be flexible according to the changes in the external environment or in the internal environment. Next is scalar principle. Now scalar principle is in the form of a triangle. At the top, board of directors, top management will be there. Down the level of triangle lines, the authority flows upwards and the authority flows downwards and the responsibility flows upwards. Authority will be transferred from higher official to the lower officials. Board of directors will delegate authority to the managers. Managers will delegate the authority to the supervisors. So authority flows downwards and responsibility flows upwards. Lower level supervisor is responsible for middle level managers. Middle level manager is responsible for the top level managers. So responsibility flows upwards. This is called as the scalar principle. Next, continuity. Organization says that whatever the work carried on, it should be continuous. There should not be break in the organization. Continuity of transaction should be there in the organization. Unless internally there is no continuity, it is difficult for the members to work in the organization. Next, unity of command. The most important principle of internal organization is subordinates has to receive command from only one superior. Large number of superiors or more number of superiors should not control a single subordinate. A subordinate should be answerable to only one superior. If he is controlled by many people, then again it becomes a mesh for him and he cannot understand that he should listen whose words. So unity of command is important. The command should be received by the subordinate only from one superior. That is unity of command. So principles of internal organization are flexibility, scalar principle, continuity, unity of command. Next, why organization is important actually. In what aspect organization is important? First one is increases managerial efficiency. The organization increases managerial efficiency. Whatever the company, institution, or it may be an association of people, it helps in increasing their efficiency because all people will be working together. They share their ideas, they share their experiences, and it helps in increasing their efficiency. Utilizing human resources to a maximum extent. Now people coming together, work together, they share their ideas and they cooperate each other so that they work harmoniously, and once they are interested in doing the work, it automatically leads to maximum utilization of human resources. So whatever the human resources that are there in the organization, utilize it to a maximum extent. Next, to coordination of different activities. Organization has different departments: production department, marketing department, finance department. Different departments are there in the organization, and without the coordination of other departments, it is difficult to achieve the objectives of the organization. Now it helps in organization as a whole, helps in achieving coordination between different activities. Whatever the different activities that are performed, all these people coordinate each other. Next, organization helps in growth. Once there is an efficient use of human resources, efficient use of managerial ability, and if there is a coordination in the departments, then it helps in growth of the organization. And growth of the organization once achieved, then employees will feel satisfied and they feel a pride in doing the work. Next, controls bureaucracy. Organization controls bureaucracy. If people are worthy enough and they are confident enough, then they work for the organization, and there will be a little political influence in the organization. Sometimes there may not be any political influence in the organization if all these are efficient people. So it controls bureaucracy in the organization. So increases managerial efficiency, utilizing human resources to a maximum extent, coordination of different activities, growth, and it controls bureaucracy. Now, what are different types of organizations? Organization may be of different types. First is the departmental organization. Now, if we see, department is a form of organization and it is the oldest form of organization. Departmental organization is the oldest form of organization. It is there since the inception of the government. Under this, an enterprise is put under the control of a department. The total enterprise is under the control of a particular department. Such department is headed by the concerned minister. Now, for example, postal department, railways department. Railways department is the oldest department and it is a public enterprise, and it is under the control of the minister, railway minister. He takes all the decisions with the consent of the prime minister. So all these comes under departments: postal department, railways department, water department. These are departmental organizations. Now, if we see what are the merits and demerits of departmental organization. Now, merits of departmental organization are: these are used for public utilities. Now, railways is the public utility service. Large number of people will be traveling in railways and it is more economical. It is for public service. So these departmental organizations are mainly of public utilities. Next, the main demerit is lack of autonomy. They lack autonomy in the organization. Next merit is regional development. Regional development is possible because whatever the funds the railways are getting or that department is getting, those funds are used for the development of that department only. So regional development is possible. Next, demerit is lack of flexibility. Departmental form of organization, it is difficult to be changed because it has to take the consent of both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. It has to take the consent of the president. Parliament has to approve it. So a tedious procedure is there for changes in the departmental organization. So it is rigid. Next, third, generates employment. Departmental organization, since it is a postal or telegraph or railways or whatever it may be, this type of departmental organization creates more employment opportunities because the network is huge and it requires a large number of human resources and it can utilize the youngsters and the manpower which are there in the society. So it generates huge employment opportunities. Next, departmental organizations are generally government organizations and sometimes they are inefficient and a lot of corruption is involved in departmental organizations. Inefficiency is they may lack technical know-how or they may lack the present awareness of the situation and the ministers force them to do certain works So there is a corruption in departmental organizations. Next merit is economies of scale. It has large economies of scale, because if these departmental organizations are established on a large scale, it can get huge internal and external economies. Next demerit is lack of professionalism. Since departmental organizations are government organizations, it lacks professionalism. Whatever the professional knowledge that is to be there, that professional knowledge will not be there in this type of organizations. And that people with professional knowledge generally does not prefer to come into such organizations. Next advantage is less misuse of funds. Now, whatever the funds these departments are getting, those funds are accountable. Everything is system generated and every rupee counts. So, there are large chances of less misuse of funds. Whatever the funds this department is getting, these funds are properly used and there is no hope of stealing that amount. Next disadvantage is poor manpower planning. Now, in departmental organizations, manpower planning is not proper. Whatever the people who are coming into the organizations, they does not have efficient knowledge in doing the work. So, manpower planning is poor in departmental organizations. Next advantage is reduction of poverty. Generally, departmental organizations are government organizations and people with low income groups can afford to use these departmentals, and this helps in the reduction of poverty. Next, political interference. Departmental organizations, since these are government run organizations, political people interfere in between the running of these departments. Since it is controlled by the minister and higher officials generally have control on these departmental organizations. So this is the first and the foremost form of organization. Departments are established by the government in order to carry on activities in that particular area. If it is postal department, all postal services are looked after by the postal department. If it is railways, all the transportation through railways will be looked after by the railway department. Next form of organization is the functional organization. Under the system, the whole task of management and direction of subordinates is divided according to the type of work involved. Now, if we see the sentences, the whole task of the management, whatever the functions that are to be performed by the management, and the direction of subordinates, since subordinates are there in the organization, they has to be directed. All the functions of management and direction of subordinates is divided according to the type of work involved. Different types of works will be performed in the organization, and on the basis of type of work, subordinates are classified and these are assigned to the specific department or management in the organization. Next, at higher levels of the functional organization refers to the structure that is formed by grouping all the work into major functional departments. Now, if we see the higher levels of the organization, top level. At the top level of the organization, the structure is framed in such a way that the work is divided into major functional departments. The total work of the organization is divided into different departments. Related similar work is done in one department under one executive. The same type of work is done in one department under one superior. So all these people who are performing the same type of work will work under one superior. So the whole functional organization says that the work of the organization is divided among the subordinates in such a way that people performing the similar work are under the control of one superior. The total meaning of functional organization is that the total work of the organization is divided into subordinates, in between different subordinates, and these are monitored by the superior, and people performing the same work will be under the control of one superior. Who are doing the same work will be under one superior. Now, the best example is if we take the universities. In the universities, people teaching physics, all the physics lecturers will be under the physics department. All the chemistry lecturers will be under the chemistry department. And it is headed by the senior most lecturer. And all these other people also performing the same work, teaching. But the experience differs. Again, people teaching commerce in the universities are under the commerce department. These are controlled by HOD, who is the superior, and they perform the similar work teaching commerce subject. So this type of organization is called as functional organization. On the basis of the functions performed by the people in the organization, they are grouped under one similar head so that the task can be performed easily. So this is functional organization. Now, functional organization hierarchy is explained with the help of a chart. At the top is the chief executive. Under the chief executive, different managers will be working. Production manager, who looks after the production department. Personnel manager, who looks after the human resources in the organization. Marketing manager, he looks after the sales. Finance manager, he is responsible for allocating resources to different departments. So on the basis of the functions performed in the organization, they are classified into production manager, personnel manager, marketing manager, and finance manager. Now, under every manager, superintendents will be there. Under the superintendents, supervisors will be there. Under the supervisors, workers will be there. So this is the chain system which is followed in every type of department. Because of the functions performed, these are classified into these categories. Next, what are the merits of the functional organization? Now, since the organization is divided on the basis of the functions performed, that is people engaged in the production will come under production manager. People engaged in human resources will come under personnel manager. People engaged in marketing will come under marketing manager. People responsible for maintaining accounts and allocation of resources will come under finance manager. Now, different people will come under different heads according to the functions performed. The merits are division of work and specialization is possible. Now, work is divided among the people according to their talents. Some people are efficient in some work and other people are efficient in other work. So their work is assigned according to their specialization And again it improves their skills because they are working under a specialized supervisor. So division of work and specialization is possible in functional organization. Next, cooperation and coordination is possible between members. In this type of functional organization, all people working under the manager are having the same knowledge and are coming from the same field. So they cooperate and coordinate each other. There is a cooperation and coordination in between the members. The conflicts are also very little because all people are from the same background and all of them are having the same knowledge in that particular function. Next, one efficient person is allotted for each function. Now, if we see the flow chart, the person who is efficient in marketing will be given a marketing manager post, and he is responsible for all the functions of the marketing. So each function is allotted to a efficient person. He is efficient in that field. Next, it's standardization. Since all the work is divided into different functions, it is easy to establish standards for each department, and this standardization is achieved by different managers. Next, dislocation eradicated. Now, if there are any dislocations in the organization, it is easy for the management to eradicate those dislocations because all the work is divided into different functions. So, functional organization helps in the division of work and specialization is possible for all the employees, and there is a cooperation and coordination in between the members. Each person is responsible for his higher official who is an efficient person in that field. Standardization is possible and all the dislocations in the works are eradicated. Every person and everything in the right place in functional organization. And all people are working according to their standards. Now, every organization has both merits and demerits. Even functional organization has certain demerits. It says that coordination between different departments is difficult. That is, coordination in the department is easy. That is, production manager can coordinate the work of his own subordinates. Marketing manager can coordinate the work of his own subordinates. But it is difficult for coordination between two different departments, production department and marketing department, finance department and personnel department. So there is lack of coordination in between different departments, and this leads to conflicts also. They try to shift responsibility to other departments. If there is any problem, they try to shift the responsibility on other departments. Next, responsibility not properly defined. Just now I said that whatever the departments are there, their responsibility is not properly defined. Because production manager is concerned with the production, but he has to procure raw materials from outside. And for procuring raw materials, he has to depend on finance department. And again, for persons, he has to depend on personnel manager. So there is an interlink between different departments, and a responsibility cannot be clearly defined because production manager says that since finance department has not given me money, I did not purchase raw materials. And personnel manager has not given me efficient staff, so there is a deterioration in the quality of product. So in this way, responsibility is shifted from one department to the other. And all this leads to conflicts naturally. When nobody is accepting the responsibility, this leads to conflict in between the departments. Next, functional organization is a costly affair because in every part of the function, efficient persons are to be employed, and the employment of these efficient persons is a costly because managers demand higher salaries according to their experiences. Now, a company with a less capital and with a less capture of market cannot hope to invest such huge amounts on managers, and it cannot pay such huge amount of salaries to the managers. So managers who are efficient in their particular field, appointing them is a costly affair to the organization. Next, mistakes in division of work. If there is any mistake in the division of work in between the departments, then there is a chance that the organization will close down. Now, people who are efficient in production, if they are placed in marketing section, they cannot do marketing work because they doesn't know how to convince the people, or they doesn't know how to sell the products in the market. So, if a little mistake in the division of work in between the people will leads to the closure or loss of the organization. So these are the demerits of the functional organization structure. Coordination is not possible in between the departments. Responsibility is not properly defined because different departments are performing different functions. It leads to conflicts. Again, employing efficient managers is a costly. And if there are any mistakes in division of work, the purpose of the functional organizations cannot be accomplished. So departmental organization, whatever we have seen, it is related to the public undertakings generally started by the government, so that people who are below poverty line can avail those services. So that is the reason government has started departmental organizations. And next is the functional organization, where corporate companies adopt such type of functional organizations, where the work of organization is divided into different functions, and these are assigned to the people who are efficient in their work. So these are the two types of organizations, and the type of organization to be adopted depends upon the company.